What a game. Bounce that pill. Welcome to the footy. That's the end of the men's round, and it ended incredibly. I'm joined by Tom, as you know. Say hi, Tom.
G'day, mate. How are you? What a game.
It was sick.
Wasn't it?
Who's it brought to us by?
It's brought to you by the TAC. This episode of the footy is brought to you by the TAC. Stop kidding yourself. If you drink, don't drive. A message from the TAC.
I'm blown away by that game. It was just incredible. It's compelled me to look back on the year and celebrate in a way we haven't done for a long time.
Fantastic.
What a year we've had, 2025. Some shit games, if I'm honest. And as this grand final approached, I thought, we're going to have a boring old game. I know what to expect. And the footy gods just said, nah.
Wrong!
Broden, time to do the round of grounds, Broden. Here we go. Round the grounds, what a day, grand final Saturday. Cats had fight and flair, Brisbane simply did not care. Ginnivan, broken finger, Billy Joel is a singer. What a game for consumption, Brisbane massive destruction. Yeah, what a season. 2025. North Melbourne shit again. Ramen became our friend. Ken Hinkley final season. Lolly teeth for no reason. Lots of marks were seen by Nazaya Wanganeen. West Coast never sung their song. Goodwin said just bomb it long. How did the rounds transpire? They were always happening, but we're still grappling. Come on. How did the rounds transpire? Sing along. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Media could be heaps better. Far too much agenda set as Jeremy Cameron cooked. Dwayne Russell wrote a book. Sydney Swans want a chat. Whistling guide, Telstra ad. Nick Watson mind boggles. Zorko stole Cox's goggles. Carlton, big mess. Michael Voss can bench press. Bailey Smith another gear. Anderson goal of the year. 13 Gates, Cardinia Park. Sam Darcy was not a mark. Dogs go woof. Cats go purr. Brisbane don't need Danaher. How did the rounds transpire? Yeah! It was always happening, but we're still grappling. Come on. How did the round transpire? Woo, woo. And we didn't like it, but we tried to fight it. Fremantle played some finals, first time in a while. Old players and some new, lots of wrong goal reviews. Watched some games, ate some Palmers, got to meet the Helen Garners. Rayner could have won an Emmy. Gold Coast made it to the semis. 7 more verses. Lots of highlights and some vids. Essendon played heaps of kids. North Melbourne a bit peeved. Simpkin wants to maybe leave. My song not funny. St Kilda have lots of money. Melbourne are full of toffs. Sydney Swans dropped right off. How did the round transpire? Went too high. It was always happening, but we're still grappling. Come on, sing on.
How did the round transpire?
Sing along at home, everybody.
When we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it.
Bontempelli, very great. Bulldogs could not make the 8. Giant season to remember, still cannot win in September. Brisbane Lions are the top. They have several Ashcrofts. Geelong won really bad. Everyone the bloody same. Melbourne Adelaide games, they did win. Tom at G did just walk in. Lots of games were played. What else do I have to say?
How did the round transpire?
Fucked up a line there because I wrote this the other day. And I said Geelong won the game. That's how much I expected.
You were such a naysayer, Broden.
But we try. We've had fun, it's been silly, far too much, wacky willy, it was great, what I meant, lots of fun engagement. What a year it has been, thank you heaps for tuning in, it's been heaven and been hell, covering the AFL. Our new premier was crowned, Tom went swimming, almost drowned, Marnie Vinyl winning quills, having fun and bouncing pills, lots of footy, really great, Paddy got to commentate, love the footy, not a chore, but I can't take it anymore. How did the round transpire? Come on, motherfucker! It was always happening, but we're still grappling. How did the round transpire? Well,
we tried and lied.
There was a big game.
Tried to find it.
How did the round transpire?
Really good.
It was always. You should watch the 7-hour documentary on HBO Max about Billy Joel. He doesn't mention us doing this.
Wow.
What a season. How did the round transpire? What a season. Let's crack in. Oh. How did the round transpire? There's still so much. But this is always the case.
Oh, wow. I've never heard it go this.
Where did you watch from, Tom?
I watched from my friend Max's house for a bit, then came in here.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, so good.
That's fantastic.
What a game. It was such an enjoyable experience.
We can get into it. I was just sitting there with my brother and I was writing notes because I wanted to remember as much as possible.
Which is great.
But in that first quarter, the main thing I remember is sitting just around all these people watching the game is after the first 15 minutes, just looking to the guy next to me and going, whoa. It was like just so intense. Just so intense.
Yeah, I a similar experience, Broden. I think about 10 minutes in, I thought Geelong were on top, right? And they showed the pressure ratings. And it was actually Brisbane was off the scale. So they were defending so hard. And I thought they were getting, beaten. But no, they were working even harder than Geelong, even though it was all against them.
It was an incredible game. Even though it blew out at the end, it was an incredible game. There's some things I'd like to go through first before we crack into this game. So stay tuned. But I want to go through a few things. Firstly, you swam. I'm going to say a kilometre.
Yeah.
I'm going to round up.
Put some mayo on it for sure. I kept swimming in the wrong direction.
You swam in the ocean for your charity after you forced me to come and watch you.
Yeah.
It was full on.
A lot of comments for you to walk back this week, Broden. One, saying I couldn't swim in the ocean. Two, Brisbane couldn't win it. It's going to be a great game for a great episode of Tom being right about stuff.
So we were live streaming you swimming in the ocean, and there were just moments where you stopped swimming and just kind of floated.
That's what I was always telling you when we're going to get the boat.
And I was like, if you mention the fucking boat one more time.
Because you can stop and you can tread water, you can have a float and have a little breather. Like, that's the great thing about swimming.
And you kept saying that per kilo, you're the best swimmer in Australia.
And no one has tried to come for that title. So,
but anyway, I was standing there going, if something happens, God forbid, what do I do? And so at 18 minutes, Telstra on your YouTube, on your phone, dropped out. And so we had a fair amount of people watching and they all proceeded to go, okay, something's happened. And they've decided to stop the stream.
And we were fundraising too.
And I was like, I just got a million messages going, what's happened? Is he okay? And I went, yeah, no, it's just dropped out. But you did very well. You and your team, I just want to shout out you and your team, who have done incredible work, have raised over $10,000 for Crohn's and Colitis Association.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's donated. What a big month of swimming in oceans. And thank you for your support too, Broden.
No, it was fantastic. The next thing I want to say is, some people might think the footy season's over, and that is absolutely not true. The AFLW season that is happening right now is the best one we've ever had, in my opinion. A lot of the games are just outstanding games. And while you and I are on world tour for the next 3 weeks, Marnie is taking the helm, and she's going to do an incredible job. And if you in the past years haven't stuck around for the AFLW, I implore you to do it and back in Marnie. She's gonna do an incredible job. She has done in the past when one of us has been out and everything. When she takes the helm, she's an absolute gun. And she's being joined, if you didn't listen to Wednesday, by a star in Hester Brown, who also you may know from her podcast, The Significant Other podcast, which she hosts with Marty Dangerfield.
Correct.
Who gave you $90 or something.
Yeah.
Would be upset today, so our thoughts go out to Marty.
Yes.
But Hester is an incredible person. She's got a great talker about football and the world of being in football. And I think that Marnie and Hester are very good friends, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So please keep listening and back them in. They'll be there on Wednesday. So I just wanted to shout out, thank you, Hester, for doing it. And also Marnie, going to dominate. Please listen. The other one I wanted to say, I just wanted to circle back, being at it's such an incredible day. And I woke up this morning just thinking what a magical day we have in this country where we're the grand final, and it's so cool. And I wanted to echo back Marnie's sentiments from Wednesday, talking about and her article for the ABC talking about the Victoria Police are preparing for a 20% spike in violence against women ahead of the AFL Grand Final, which is a thing that is expected from organisations like this. And it's such a big day, and I just wanted to go back over that and say, if you feel like something you were on Grand Final day, call it out. If there's things that didn't feel right, if there's things you think you need to call out, call them out. In the description for this episode, we are going to have the links to all of the support lines that are in Marnie's article from Wednesday. So there's a myriad of different supports there. We'll put that all in the description. But if you saw disrespect to women, call it out. If you saw behaviour that you thought was not right, call it out. Step in. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about, potentially, in my opinion, the best game from the year. Give me that stick.
The man that likes planes, Jack Payne.
Now, I haven't prepared like I usually do. I've just gone beat for beat. So I'm just going to go through beat for beat.
Fantastic.
And just say the pressure of this game. The pressure. You were talking about it before. Tell me about what you saw watching on telly.
Yeah.
And what were they saying on telly?
I mean, I was watching on 7 because you couldn't watch anything else.
No, that's right.
So I tuned most of it out. But BT focused a lot on the bench, as he always does. He focused on Richo, who was in level 2 a lot. He also, they managed to bring up Nick Dacos as well.
No, they did not.
They absolutely did. He said that Mullen was the Irish Nick Dacos.
What the? Why? Oh, why? How?
Like early on too, it was very funny. I just noted that, and I know a few people wrote that in for Malakas too. That like we can't even get a grand final between Brisbane and Geelong without a Nick Dacos mention.
It was one of those moments. Can I tell you about my experience at the game? Actually,
Would love
talking
to hear
about
it.
pressure as a holistic experience. The pressure of the pressure. When the stadium started to fill in, Mitchell and I were up on top deck.
Nice.
And we had a lovely view.
Couldn't work out any level 2s?
No, we went into the ballot. So in the MCC, half of it's given out in a pre-ballot to say, like, you can get a reserve seat, and the other half have to show up at 4 in the morning and have a crack. Fun fact, the MCC was not full.
So I could have just shown up.
No, you couldn't have shown up. I don't like how you just show up to games. I think that's disrespectful to what I have earned as an MCC member.
Paying your, what do you call them?
Your dues.
Paying
Literally
your
your subs.
Your subs every year.
So we're there. It's starting to fill up. And it becomes very clear anytime the crowd is asked, go Cats, go Lions, or anytime the Lions are running out or anything. It was really surprising, right? Because we were at the game last week with Geelong and Hawthorn.
Yep.
There was a vibe. Anytime Brisbane were called upon, their fan base were just feral and loud. Not feral in a bad way, like loud and cheering together and so engaged. And every time there was a moment for the Cats, it felt really flat.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people. Really soft, huh?
And I don't know if it's because they only issue 17,000 tickets to each membership base. And so a large proportion of the audience are corporates and all of that stuff that we already know. But it really surprised me because I thought Geelong are the favourites here. I'm sure I can't imagine that they wouldn't turn out in absolute droves. But it might have just been from where I was sitting, but I was sitting in a pretty, like impartial, like an area of both in the MCC. And it just felt like they weren't up for it. It truly did feel that way.
I have a theory on this, right? And tell me if you agree with this in yourself, right? I feel like every time Brisbane make a grand final, all these old Fitzroy heads pop out of nowhere. I had like 5 or 6 people at the ground on my Instagram. And I was like, I didn't even know you liked footy. And all of a sudden they're there and passionate and ready to chuck on old Fitzroy and absolutely go nuts.
Man, congratulations to Brisbane. That was like they are things become so clear as soon as you win a flag, right? But like Chris Fagan, firstly, like he was a GM of a club, wasn't ever going to be a coach, and then he seems to be like the AFL seems to be moving in a direction where coaches are more of managers in the sense that they just delegate. And
people.
He does all these sort of leadership things, but he's turned incredibly calm. And I don't know it's just because he's old, but he's just very reserved and quiet. And they just think the story of this is 3 weeks ago, they played the same team and were destroyed.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely destroyed. And no one in the media this week, bar maybe 1 or 2, gave Brisbane a genuine chance against Geelong.
So I obviously did, and I'm a big part of the media, and I tipped them all week, so thank you, Broden.
Yeah.
And Kate Mack also tipped them, so Kate Mack is, in my eyes, one of the only correct people in the media this week.
Yeah, maybe I'll stay it up the top. I wrote it down the bottom, but
Yeah.
I often go to Daniel Hoyne because he's the stats man.
Yeah.
He was like, Geelong will win, and they will win by a lot.
Yeah.
That guy's always wrong. I've got to stop listening to that guy. He's always wrong.
I mean, you get excited about all sorts of Harvey Langford rising stars and stuff from Hoyne as well, and I just feel like I feel like the thing with Brisbane. It's never been about stats or trends or Hipwood's gone down. It doesn't matter. It's who they are as a team, how they're coached, their what do you call it? Their culture and everything is my vibe.
I had some very key downs as well. But then all of a sudden, I was looking at players like Kai Lohmann today and going, you have gone from someone who's pretty good to a very important forward.
Absolutely.
And he's had his ear ripped off.
Zach Bailey kicked 3-6 or whatever.
Oh, don't even get me. We talk about Zach Bailey. So Brisbane could have blown him out in the start.
100%.
But he didn't have very high percentage shots, I don't think. But he was at one point sitting on 1 goal 5.
Yeah.
And then he kicked, of all the shots he had, his third one or his second one was the hardest shot of the day, an outside 50 bang, and he dominated that.
But I think this is going back to what
he could have kicked 9.
Yeah. But going back to what Max Gawn told us a year ago, almost to the day, we were very down on their forward line at this point last year with Hipwood and Danaher. But he was like, no, it's your Baileys, it's your Lohmann, it's Cam Rayner. It's these guys that pop up and just play their role really well. They're really dangerous, and he's absolutely right.
Speaking of what Max Gawn said last year, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't put in any message feeds because I didn't want to be embarrassed. But I was like, I think I said it to Mitch sitting next to me. He'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. But as soon as the game started, I felt the immediate lack of Tom Stewart and who they've been playing as a ruck for a lot of the year. And they've never been a ruckman team. They've never had...
Yeah.
They've never, Tom Stewart has played a role, and it's a tragedy that he missed out.
But he hasn't rucked, right? Just to get what you're saying straight?
Yeah, well, I guess I mean a tall.
Yeah. But then they played Stanley and Blitzarves, who were both no good. I think that's your point, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're not no good. They're just a bit, they're not as good as they have been in the past, I feel like.
I guess it was another tall is what I mean, right? But as soon as the game started and Blitzarves was in the middle and Darcy Fort was playing first ruck because they went... We can put him first ruck because McInerney can go and be more valuable as an extra back or an extra forward.
Yeah.
And then they started to... Every tap in that first quarter was going in the direction of a Lions player. I went, oh, wow, this could be... I don't know what I'm talking about, but it could be a huge difference. But not only do they have 2 rucks who are guns, it really affected it. And what I thought watching this game is they definitely need Oscar Allen and Sam Draper. That's what I thought watching this game.
And another top 5 academy pick as well. Can I talk to that for a second? I think Brisbane have the most fantastic midfield, obviously, and we talked recently about how I think Ashcroft is only their 4th best midfielder, and all this sort of stuff is just insane. And I do think that what Cats managed to do 3 weeks ago was take the midfield out of the game. McCluggage didn't touch the ball. They slowed it down. They controlled it. There was no clearance work from the mids, and they just couldn't do it today. Brisbane just had their way with every single clearance. I think someone on Triple M on the drive over here was saying it might have been a record clearance differential for a grand final. That's how good they were in the middle.
So it's crazy that we're still saying that rucks aren't important, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was entirely all ruck right, but you're right. I think
definitely. Blitzarves was not helpful.
No, I don't think. I think that's right, but I also think on top of that, Dunkley did an amazing job on Bailey Smith. I think McCluggage clearly handled his tag so much better this week. All
right, well, let's change the subject. Give me that sting. The thing about Brisbane is that they had a great game.
Yeah,
and they were awesome. I just want to keep talking about the same stuff. I just thought it'd be funny to put a sting in there.
Yeah, great.
I thought a few things that blew my mind as someone who doesn't go for either of these teams.
Yeah.
I'm like, how good the kicking was.
Yeah.
How beautiful a kick. The quality of football for those first 3 quarters was just so magical and so nice. It's just really nice to watch.
Absolutely. I thought that Geelong, when they had space, because of how good at kicking they are, they looked awesome. I thought they're going to find space, they're going to win. But then Brisbane managed to find all this space as the game wore on as well. And I was like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, give me that sting.
The scenes at the Adelaide Oval!
And the tackling as well. The tackling was just mind-bogglingly good.
Yeah.
There was, the pressure... Yes, you said Brisbane's was through the roof. Is that right?
It was in the first when I thought they were losing. That's what I thought was interesting about that I thought they were getting smashed, and then their pressure rating was actually way higher than Geelong's, which I thought was really fascinating.
The thing I've already started to hear was that Geelong didn't have proper competition for about 12 weeks.
And gastro, of course.
They had a bit of the gastro in that fourth quarter, didn't they? It's awful. That awful gastro.
No, but honestly, I feel like it's up for debate, right? I feel like if they had won today, Chris Scott would have been like, no, we love the breaks. But now that they haven't had... They've lost. I think this grand final bye thing will come into
it's
conversation.
breaks, but then also the run they played, like, I believe the last 9 games were all against the Preston Bull Ants.
Yeah. They definitely had an easy run, and I think they could have won today, and it could have looked like it worked out for them. But you know what it's like. Hindsight is 20/20, right? I don't think it's.
Here's something that is true now is. Brisbane, firstly, and don't feel sad about this, but were a advantage pay free kick potentially off back-to-back.
Yeah.
But they have been in 3 grand finals and won 2 of them in 3. It's just incredible.
And it just aren't going to stop. They are just going to be so much better next year. There's just no debating it.
Everyone was saying it at the grounds, like, let's just enjoy them, like what Paddy has said many times, let's just enjoy not hating them right now because and you look at this, it changed how I think about Melbourne today because I went, does Stephen King need to come in and really try and load us back up and get back to the top? There's no point to do that because...
all the other teams are fucked and then Tassie comes in. We're all fucked.
But like Brisbane, like when you look at as they pushed away this game and the stats of the people kicking the goals or doing the clearances, when they came up on the screen, the ages were 19, 20 and 21 over and over and over.
They're like children,
Levi Ashcroft...
It was a brilliant goal, had a great game. 19.
That Levi Ashcroft goal in the second or the first, I can't remember when it was, in the second, he clearly doesn't care.
Yeah, that's the arrogance of being a superstar.
Most arrogant little boy.
And it works for them, right? You got to love it. It's the same
ran
thing.
Around a guy in the mark and just had a punt from 55 metres and went, of course I kicked that.
You need a good balance of that, and then you need to, layer it out with your Harris Andrews and your Stern Heads and your, but you need that arrogance. It's what Hawthorn has in so much as well. But not only that, they're 2 full forwards today, Logan Morris and that other kid who's played 5 games.
Gallup.
Yeah, they're both 19 and 20, right? And then they're going to get Harris Andrews, the captain of West Coast, one of the most promising forwards in the game.
So it makes you think a little bit that Danaher was volatile and weird, and Hipwood is not a 10 out of 10 player. So you're better just playing these... Well, you shouldn't be, but they are better playing these year 12s.
That's what I've been trying to politely say all year, is that I just never felt like these were big losses. Like, I just kept saying I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think losing Neale was a big deal, even though was so good today when he came on.
Wasn't a big deal to lose Neale.
I just didn't think that losing those 3 players was a big deal, because I think the younger guys are better.
Hey, give me that sting.
Because we just love the footy.
Lachie Neale is the sub. There were some people I know in group chat saying that didn't make sense.
Yeah, a lot of people jumped on that as a talking point. And hey, if they had lost, it would have been... Yeah. Or if he got injured, it would have been a disaster.
It was definitely a risky thing to do. But he came on, and that goal was that was GG's, to quote you. Yeah. That was good game, everybody.
We'll see you later. No, I loved it. I think he must have been fully fit. It was just a bit of conditioning, but that's usually a 40-day injury. He was back in 20. I think clearly he was fit and ready to go and fully recovered. It was just maybe a bit of match simulation that was missing that made him be sub. Otherwise, there's no way he wouldn't have played full game.
Who would you say the top 4 Geelong players are? Not in this game, in their team.
So I think...
And none of this, really.
Yeah. Let me be 100% real. I think Bailey Smith, Max Holmes.
Yes.
Tom Stewart. And then maybe Jeremy Cameron or Dangerfield.
I would say all of them.
They're a very good team.
Not in Tom Stewart, obviously, not included. But I think... all of them had a very bad game.
Max Holmes had a fantastic game, but he also
made some very bad decisions.
Yeah, he turned it over 59% by foot, but I did think in general he was good. I did hear on Triple M that he kicked it 59%.
But we were talking last week about Danger and whether he'd had... he could still play at the level he can. And the answer is no, he could do it once.
So can I talk to this just for 1 second?
He's a gun. Don't get me wrong. He's a
superstar. Gun. Same with all of these guys. This was my only bit of analysis, which might be so wrong because I'm not an analysis, Broden. But I thought... An analyst.
Say analyst.
Analyst.
That's it.
I thought they flipped the script on their head with the shutdown stuff because was it Sarcevic who was on Dangerfield all day?
No, I think
wherever he went, I'm pretty sure he locked him down.
There was because I think Starcevic was on a few other people as well and shut them down.
I think the way it started was that if he was starting in the midfield, Starcevic would pick him up as he rolled forward and just would stick with him at forward 50 stoppage.
My point being that I think Brisbane beat Geelong at their own shutdown game. That's my thing. I think there was probably 4 or 5 guys doing shutdown stuff on Brisbane.
Danger, and the way he spoke after the game as the skipper, I was like, this is a fucking impressive individual.
Oh, he's a fucking legend, mate. Literally a goat.
There was a part of how good he played last week kind of showed Geelong's hand a little bit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because Hawthorn weren't expecting that from him.
No, and then they decided to, at least in what I saw, it looked like they were tagging him or shutting him down, whereas if he doesn't perform like that last week,
they maybe give Max Holmes a bit more room.
Exactly, and then Danger gets loose and then it's GG's. Yeah.
But then we were watching very closely Jeremy Cameron and his disaster of a day. So he got in a bad tackle, I think. No, it was in a big contest in a leading mark and looked like he broke his wrist.
He's broken his arm. So Mitch Cleary said it's a suspected broken arm.
Watching from the crowd, nothing was more clear as he broke his wrist and he said, I'm not going off.
Yeah.
I'm just playing this game. And then he was favouring that arm. He did the most inspirational, like if they won, he would have won 8 Norm Smiths for this game.
Yeah.
But he chased down...
Who was it? Was it Ashcroft?
I think it was Fletcher.
Oh,
chased down Fletcher, who I love that he actually took him on as well. Like he went, I've got him here. But then with his non-broken arm, reached out, grabbed Fletcher's GPS in his collar, pulled him down, and because his other arm was broken, his wrist was broken, he favoured as he fell and dislocated his shoulder.
Oh, right. I thought he just further broke his arm or just hurt his arm more.
I think it was his shoulder.
He came out with,
I'm making shit up.
He came out with thicker
maybe
bandaging on.
But looks like hell, right?
Yeah,
and then he went down the rooms. He went down the rooms for a very long time, and you're like, well, clearly they're going to sub him and put Jack Martin on. No, he comes back out again, had another Panadol, I guess, but was pretty much not great from that point on because his arm was broken.
Yeah, difference in tactics because they refused to make that sub, and I understand why. Jeremy Cameron's one of the best players that's played in the last 20 years. But then on Brisbane's side, they put the trigger early.
They went very early.
They rolled the dice. Both coaches approached that differently.
And it'll be interesting to see in the weeks when coaches start opening up and stuff. I reckon they were like, unless someone goes down beforehand, we are bringing him on at halftime.
Because they subbed a 19-year-old off, so that must have always been the plan. What was their name?
Sam Marshall.
Yeah, who I'd never heard of till today. So I was like, makes sense, right? That's a great plan sub.
They're like, he's coming on at halftime.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I was listening to Kate Mack on Triple M as I came over here, and that was what she said. She said, halftime sub for Marshall, like small for a small, this is a planned move.
Yeah.
Like if they got through to this point, they're going to bring Neale in.
Yeah,
and then he had, 17 touches and 7 clearances. Like, he was third highest on the ground for clearances. He played half the game.
Crazy.
Yeah, fucking hell. All right, let's talk about the Norm Smith, my best mate Will. My 21-year-old mate Will. Do a sting.
Absolutely pumped.
Now, Broden, let's talk to Norm Smith. Who is kidding themselves? Brought to you by the TAC. Stop kidding yourself. If you don't drive. A message from the TAC. Now, I'd love to kick this off. Here's my thing. You want to give the stats to the umpires for the Brownlow, take away the stats from the Norm judges. McCluggage and Ashcroft, incredible players. I've been the biggest McCluggage fan all year. Listeners to the podcast will know that. But they were stat padding in the fourth when they really piled on those 3 goals for McCluggage, when Ashcroft really piled them on, was in the fourth. I think when the game was up to be won, it was Charlie Cameron who really managed to play a good role and kick goals, and Harris Andrews was the most incredible game I've seen played when the game was on the line. So you're kidding yourself if you think McCluggage or Ashcroft should have won the Norm Smith.
I think I disagree.
Which is fine. That's what the podcast is for.
Because I think Ashcroft had a mind-blowingly good game as well in the end.
I thought so too, just not in the third. And I thought the fourth, the game was over. You know what I mean?
But I actually do agree with you. What I was saying at the game is I would have voted for Harris Andrews because at the start of that game, when Geelong usually, might put him on and everything was going well for them, they couldn't because he was so across it.
Yeah.
And then also Charlie Cameron had a pretty flat. He had what his season's been like, a relatively flat first half.
I would have called it a forgettable season all over. Barely the Charlie of old.
But it looks like he couldn't, even his pressure acts weren't that impressive in the, kind of weren't enough. And then he just turned on and he was doing this stuff when they really got the edge on the game for Charlie Cameron, he was saying, everyone get the fuck out of the 50.
Yeah.
So as soon as the ball was bounced, he's like, get out.
Yeah.
And it almost worked. Like he kicked 2 very quickly and then he was going to kick another one.
Yeah.
But he was the difference there.
And incredible dances as well, worth saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
Shout out to
enjoyed
the
those.
very good dancers.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just thought, like, sometimes I just think, like, you look at McCluggage's game, right? You got 30 disposals and 4 goals. You go, wow, that's one of the great grand final performances. But to my eye, and hey, he wasn't even really in the voting clug. So, but I know he was favourites for a lot of people in the group chats. But I just think, yeah, absolutely right. Like Harris Andrews, the way he played, and he's such a ripper bloke too, so I was so happy for him. But the way he just controlled the defence, it just looked like it was so hard to score for Geelong.
Yeah.
And on the other end, Charlie Cameron just looked like he was having a party and just was in control.
Now let's talk about Will Ashcroft.
Yeah,
So he's played, this is his 3rd season.
correct.
1 was an ACL, so we didn't play that season.
No, you had that year.
A little bit. Not the whole season. Whatever. He missed a whole season, I'm going to say. In the 2 seasons he's played, he has a 100% rate of winning the Norm Smith in every season he's played. He always wins every season he's played, won a premiership.
Yeah.
In 1, he's won a Rising Star. He was ineligible this year.
For the Rising Star? They should have changed those rules.
Yeah, he should be able to win it every year, like Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
So he's now at 56-ish games.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
He's actually like a straight-in AFL Hall of Famer, like a legend status AFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he should just retire now. Brisbane don't need any more help.
But that's the crazy thing. He could.
Yeah, and he'd still be a legend. No, I agree. I think on paper now he's better than Nick. Like, I'm with you now.
It's like
on that conversation.
from here to Bordertown, mate.
Although Nick could have had 3 Brownlows straight if it wasn't, if the dice had rolled another way.
I don't think he
until he does.
No, I just like it's the most incredible start to a season, I think.
A start to a career.
Yeah, ever, right?
Wasn't Jonathan Brown had a crazy start to his career?
He won a bunch of flags because he was a young guy in the thing.
And a Norm Smith with 9
Rising
goals
Star,
or
I think he
something.
was.
And yeah, that's the only other one that came to mind. Because even Gary Ablett Jr., he took like 4 or 5 years to really get cracking, in my opinion. It's interesting.
It makes you think that, like, and I say this as a positive, no one can sustain this. Like, this might be the start of a season that becomes quite a normal one, but but there's a good chance he just keeps getting better and better.
Unless he did have second year blues with that ACL, and that was the year he needed to get his head straight. I know, sometimes young players need to just have a bad year to sort of sort themselves out. Maybe inadvertently he had that year and he's just going to be superstar from here.
The things I've heard behind the scenes about him in that year was he was like pretty self-assured.
Yeah.
Like he was pretty like, I'm going to be great.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Absolutely.
It gives you a hope for people like Jagger Smith as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
For the ability to have a season where you're just developing as a person at a club in a professional environment, and then you can come in and focus on your playing the next year.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. So hopefully that's the case for Jagger Smith.
Yeah.
I just the arrogance and the brilliance of him, like it's the stats of starting a season like that is just
the holding the ball up to the crowd pissed everyone off. I loved it. I'm all for it. I think we need more of that in the world. Honestly, just a small amount of that from every team.
I don't know what it is about him. Maybe I think it's because I met him.
Yeah,
but I see that and I go, that's awesome. I think it's also because I think the things that make him okay for me, like why I don't have this natural, I like now don't dislike him, is because one, Brisbane is a smaller market.
Yep.
And I think Brisbane, like, it's not like you're the biggest club in Melbourne yet. You will be shortly, probably.
Yeah. But
yeah, and
for me, what it is, bro, is right now with that arrogance, it's fun to laugh with him. But if they had a loss today, like the pile on, and if they come back next year and they lose, the pile on will be fantastic.
Someone's going to put together all his goals this year, and you're going to look through his goals in big games, Will Ashcroft, and just how freakish he is. Like that goal out of a stoppage was incredible, but he did the same thing in the prelim against Collingwood, and that's not even his job.
It was goal of the year potentially last week if you was included. I thought that was like, it wasn't a little fluke. He like kicked it like it was a drop punt, but with no connection to his hands at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was just incredible. Lions have played all games twice now. So at both seasons that they've played, they haven't had a week off. I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Because last year they just started outside the top 4 and just won every week.
Yeah.
And just think about that Giants game more and more.
Yeah,
how they
yeah.
were down by 1 million points and came back and won that and then
Yeah.
won that and did a drought-breaking flag. Think about that more and more. And like the butterfly effect of winning that game. Because all of a sudden, if they don't get there last year, then the pressure on this year and then what that does.
Yeah.
And then this year, you got to explore what happened in that first Geelong game. I heard a stat said at the game that in finals where two teams have faced off in the whatever you call it, round of finals and lose, when they both come back to the play in the grand final, except for one occasion, the team that lost last time wins the grand final.
Yeah. It makes sense to me in some weird way.
We said it. We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it at length. Can I just add one thing to your first point, Broden? I read that Levi Ashcroft has played the most games of a first-year player ever. So he played 26 games this year, which is the most that anyone's ever played in their first year by one.
He played everything, right?
Because he played every single game. Now, I would sit here and be like, that's bad for a first-year player, or that's bad. And it just doesn't seem to have been bad for Brisbane. No. And I think that needs to be studied. Whereas, like, Geelong, they're smart. They rest people. They have weeks off because they're so good. And yet, I don't know, have they lost momentum? It didn't look like it until today, but I don't know. Is there something about playing 26 games and then in the fourth quarter being able to find a fifth gear? I don't know.
Those two boys, there's something about them as well. They just, I'd say, they do not care.
Yeah.
Speaking about not caring,
yeah,
Geelong, right? Let's talk about Geelong. Give me
You cannot do that. That is not on Stevie J.
Geelong. What do you think's going to happen with the fallout of Geelong? Because the way I look at Geelong, they are lauded and applauded quite fairly and rightly for always being in and around it.
Yeah.
Like that's an incredible thing. It's almost better than winning a flag is every year being around it. It builds so much support and structure for every element of your club, sponsorships, fan base, membership, everything. It helps everything.
Players
it makes people want to come. Everything, like they're so stable. But will it at all be talked about that out of every time that they lose finals games that they're expected to win? Like last year against Brisbane again, like they could have had a flag last year. They missed out on. This was a flag that everyone expected them to win. The Richmond Geelong in 2020, that was supposed to be a lot closer than it was. They've missed out a lot. I guess no one will talk about it, but
well, can I say one thing to support your argument? And I don't
have an argument. I'm asking a question.
I don't subscribe to this, but this is the knock on Danger too. This is where everyone comes for Danger, and I think it's unfair that in the big finals when it really matters that he's not there. And I think people will cherry pick stuff and point to this as more example of that. But I think no, I don't think anything else.
When I looked, it was this aura of this team today. It was really crazy to watch it happen from going like they're just a powerhouse. They're just so assured and this is going to be so easy to then going, and then it's flipping and then going, who are half these players? Like who is that guy? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. And it is incredible. I think when did they last win? In 22? Was it 22?
Yeah.
It is incredible. I think I mentioned it during the week.
And that was against the Swans, right? Who are maybe the one who lose finals more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it feels like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, 11 new players. So either one thing's going to happen with Geelong, which is they're going to make a granny again in 2 years with another 5 or 6 or 10 new players, and they're just going to keep reloading and keep going. Or yeah, they might have a little drop off at this point, right? Because they've lost a few. Like they've been in this era of having these amazing players, and surely a bunch of them retire this year. Like the same with Collingwood, right? Like surely Collingwood and Geelong are going for a little drop off. I'm not going to say they're going
to say that that's going to happen would be absolute folly.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with Collingwood, but like you look at it and you go, those are the two options. They keep recharging.
They're a funny fan base too, Geelong, right? Because they just are just fat with success.
Yeah,
plump with it.
They have no idea what it's
like. Last week at the Hawthorn game, you saw them rise. And we're doing it. And you felt all week, like I felt it in the backlash about how I talk about them. Like people going, no, screw you, we're Geelong.
Yeah.
But then as a fan base today, as it got away with them, they all kind of just went, and then just all got up and left. And there was no like fury, or it was just,
Yeah.
And they got up, well, I guess we'll come back next year and do that again.
Yeah, because their young players are awesome.
The truth of this game, and I don't think it'll be talked about because Geelong seem to not get the criticism, is that they gave up.
In the fourth.
They gave up on this game. They gave up. So they went down by about 20.
It was 20, I think, yeah.
In about three-quarter break. And when they came back, Brisbane put on another one immediately. And they gave up. Like
and then they just piled on. And that was my point about the Norm Smith. I thought that's where a lot of the stats came into play when the game was already iced. But you're not wrong. And I think it does happen. Didn't we talk about this as well? Like in grand finals, this happens all the time. Like they're often blowouts.
But yeah, like, isn't it crazy that Brisbane's played every week and they've been pumped in? Like they've been through it. Geelong have had the perfect run of rest and never leaving this. Brisbane's been on a plane every day. Think of their status credits.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of has... That's empowered them, it feels like, to go in that kind of GWS way of going, no, we're ready. And like but you would think the team that would run this game out. Also, like Brisbane were down to 3 on the bench in the last quarter. Mm-hmm. They subbed Neale and then they had an injury.
Starcevic got ruled out for the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just crazy that with all those circumstances, Geelong still didn't go, we're going to have a red hot crack. I think Ollie Dempsey was about the only one who kept really firing.
Yeah.
And really digging in there. Another thing, I've just an aside I've got to very quickly say.
Sure.
Who gave permission to the medical department of the Geelong Football Club to wear a maroon vest? There was points in this game where Brisbane were quickly bombing it out of the back 50 to a free player, and it was a Geelong doctor. Who said that was okay? He looked like a Brisbane player. Anyway.
That's very interesting.
Anything else on the game?
No, I think Geelong's a really funny one, but I think maybe the last thing I'd say, what you said was sparking for me, was I think often all year we've talked about the old heads in Geelong and stuff, but maybe Brisbane has a better mix and they have better old heads anyway. If you think about Neale and Harris Andrews and Oscar McInerney, they've got a lot of guys, and Dane Zorko, they've got a lot of guys who have been around for 15 years, So maybe they just had even more experience than Geelong, and maybe even a better mix of youth and old heads than even Geelong.
Yeah.
And if they were a Vic team, we'd know that because they're up in Brisbane, and they just don't get as much coverage. It goes under the radar.
The first Brisbane triplet of grand finals in the 2000s, it made Brisbane go from NRL no discussion to NRL but there are footy fans here. And it made it, and that paved the way for Gold Coast to exist. They wouldn't exist without that 3P.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm curious to see what this dynasty that's about to unfold in front of us is going to do to Brisbane, because when you watch TV now, they talk about it as an NRL and footy town at the moment.
Yeah.
So what happens if they, Victoria's going to explode, but if they win 4 before 2030, what happens in Queensland?
Well, I think it's all about...
And there's a chance they're playing Gold Coast in grand finals. You know what I mean?
Would love that. Should play it up at the Gabba. Yeah, I think calm down.
The
grassroots show that it's working. Success is working, right? And the two teams is working. So I think it's only onwards and upwards.
It's going to be huge for Queensland. And if Queensland goes AFL or at least gets level with NRL, then game over.
Game over.
As far as
we say.
So many things. But yeah, by the time that the Olympics is there in 2032 or 2034, one of them, it would be interesting to see where it's at. I'm going to go through a bunch of other things from this game. Give me a sting.
The Bombers are coming hard. They're coming very hard.
The halftime sprint. So, Nick Blakey, Bo McCreary, some fast players in there.
Toby Green.
And when we were driving in,
and
the radio
boxer?
And a boxer. Oh, that's who it was. It was the boxer.
Yeah, there was some boxer.
Harry Garside.
They were, and Gout fired the gun, the fastest 17-year-old in the world. Australia's going to be the Prime Minister of Australia soon. He's so loved. People were joking about how Jed Walters, this second-year Gold Coast Suns full forward, was it was just funny, because sometimes you do see play, like Toby Green was running, that's funny.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe my eyes. Jed Walter outran Bo McCreary, everyone, and won.
I'm not surprised, because I know how fucking sick he was, but he was also taking it so seriously. Did you see on Instagram during the week, he was doing practice runs on the oval and stuff? I think that was part of it.
But that's mind-altering, man, because if a full forward is that fast, then that's like Bionic Man,
I know.
superhuman shit.
That's my one fear from this year, that Dimmer maybe has burnt him a little bit by not playing him in those 2 finals. That's my one fear, because he's a Gold Coast local.
If he played for Brisbane, he would have played 26 games and have 3 Norm Smith somehow.
He's an academy guy. He's from Brisbane, so I just hope that him being dropped for Farah hasn't burnt him a little bit. But I'm sure he's a great young dude who's only going to learn and be better and be all the better for it, because he's clearly at some point going to kick 80 goals in a season. Like, there's just no doubt.
Here's a hot take from me, right?
Yeah.
Because we went to the game and they've made all these activations outside, like footy festival vibes, and everyone's like, it's so incredible, the footy festival outside. So Mitchell and I made a point to walk through it. Mm-hmm. And it is such a crock of shit. Like, it's so funny because you're like, oh, okay, there's the Toyota handball competition, and it's like handballing off a Toyota car, and they're, oh, look, there's the Chemist Warehouse handball thing. And then you go past and there's literally a can depository. You know how like there's an initiative in Victoria.
The scheme?
They're like, there's an activation where they're handing out stickers at the Victorian can depository.
Love that.
And then there's like, oh, great, Carlton draft shit, great. Like, and then you realise, hang on, this is all just corporate tents.
Yeah.
And it all sucks.
Yeah.
Like, why would you... Do not come down here. How many inflatable slides can you take your son on or your daughter on, like, before you're like, I've seen this shit? Like, it's so bad down there. But they frame it as, oh, wow, it's like the show.
It's a festival, yeah.
But it's not.
It is the one knock on the grand final, and always has been, right? For me, it never has the same energy as a prelim. It's different. It has its own beautifulness and own draw, but...
There's a lot of people down there who feel really cool about having a lanyard that they got from their corporate company that they work for, walking around in a collared shirt with a lanyard going, hey, I can go anywhere. And by anywhere, I mean the Carlton draft tent.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many, like, this is, it's so funny walking around like that place. It is incredible. There's 100,000 people and it feels like crowd crushy at points because there's so many people there. Yeah. But, no, it's just funny how full on it was. Give me a sting.
Anytime, any place, 11 venues, free smoke wherever you want it.
We are recording this literally an hour before Tom and I have to rush to the airport to fly to Dublin at 10:30 at night. So we have to do this before the rest of the AFLW goes on. But just a very quick run through of some of the games, because there's been, so far, the Friday games of the AFLW have been friggin' awesome. Yeah. So Hawthorn just beat Geelong in a really tight game, and Hawthorn put on a really good show. Suns, not so much. Melbourne kept the Suns goalless for an entire game.
Hey, we kicked the equivalent of one goal.
Yes, when you look at the score, you go, okay, at least they kicked one. No, you kicked none. The story, I text Marnie about this at first quarter time, is, did you see the score?
Oh, yeah, we were watching it.
Essendon versus North. No, you can't beat them. They haven't lost in 700 days or something.
Yeah.
The score at Geelong, Essendon have no players at the moment. They're injured. They got bad injuries. Their first quarter, they were 20-0. They were beating North by 20 points.
We couldn't believe it. We were like, holy moly.
And then I texted Mum, I was like, are they kicking against the wind? And she went, yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
It was a big win.
And then it was over by this halftime. But it was, for that moment, it was wonderful.
For that moment, there was hope.
There was hope. And then some others. Carlton are showing up in these moments. This was that they ended up winning by 9 points. But for the last quarter, for the most part of it, for a large part of this game, was 20-20, and neither team, the defense of both teams was so hard, and the rain was coming down so fast that Carlton just luckily got 2 at the end. But Freo put an incredible show on. The other thing is Sophie McKay is going to be, she's 5 or 6 games into her career. She's going to be the best player in the league at some point.
Oh, I love it. Big calls.
She's outstanding. As is Mimi Hill as well, was so good in this game. Just, classic 2 goals and 30 disposals or something crazy like that. Doggies and Collingwood. Everyone's like, Collingwood's going to win, right?
Well, yeah, it was that thing where it's like Collingwood are rising this year. Doggies were really atrocious last year and really bad at times this year. So it's like, yeah, okay, you're going to tip Collingwood. And no, they did not show up in any way, hey?
Doggies have worked into the season, it feels like. But just as a stat line to call out is Ellie Blackburn, veteran of the game, 25 disposals and 4 goals.
Did you see Kate Mack on this?
No.
So Kate was basically saying that what I got from the clip was that Kate had been campaigning for Ellie Blackburn to play midfield all year. And they finally did. And then she just had this fantastic game. And I think it was just like, yeah, okay, that's where she needs to play. Was what I understood from it.
Marnie was working this game for the ABC as well. So if you went down, I hope you got to say hello. And then there's 4 more games tomorrow. I'm curious to see. The main one I'm interested in tomorrow is poor old Richmond's W team, who are going to go up to Brighton Homes Arena and it's going to be a Brisbane men's flag celebration alongside their team pumping Richmond. Like, that's going to be Brisbane going off chops. But yeah, check them out. Marnie and Hester will be talking about it on Wednesday, I'm sure. So check it out. But that's our brief summary of that. Give me a sting, because we're about to talk headlines.
That's what I'm talking about!
What do you think some headlines are going to be?
I legitimately, only because he did that gastro thing once, I think there's just going to be some great Geelong excuses leaked at some point.
Yeah.
It'll be the too many buys or something.
The Carlton media team, or the way that they communicate, often dodges blame for things.
Yeah.
I think that's an opinion. Often they go, well, that's why that happened, or we don't, I'm not going to sit here and say, they talk around things.
Do you mean the Geelong media
What
team?
did I say, Brisbane?
You said Carlton.
What's wrong with
you? You were thinking of the Carlton W team.
What's wrong?
And I was like, yeah, we're friends with the Carlton media team.
Everyone was looking at me like, what are you doing?
No, not at all.
Stop, you madman. You madman.
You made a very easy mistake.
But Geelong.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I just can't wait to hear what's leaked. When we land in Dublin, we'll know what's been leaked.
I think Chris Scott will be, to be honest, really professional. I have this memory of, in that documentary that Prime made, him walking into Dimmer Hardwick's coaching box and shaking his hand before the game was over and being like, congratulations. So I mean, like, I'm sure he'll be really classy about it as well, potentially.
Absolutely. One of the greatest coaches of all time, right?
But I'm curious to see, like, the one little thing. He's like,
Yeah. And they can't complain about the free kick count, because that was like 16-4 at one point in Cat's Way. But yeah, that's just a headline I can't wait to read.
I think there's going to be equalisation chat all week.
Because Brisbane are too good, too many father-sons, do you think?
Yep.
Because they haven't profited too much from Academy, have they? But they've had a lot of great free agents and stuff as well. Dunkley is so important. We never talk about Dunkley enough.
No. He's quiet. He also looks a bit like McCluggage, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, not dissimilar, short, brown hair. Yep. Similar sort of build. McCluggage is so good, but
I think there'll be just I think we're just going to go into a generation now where it's like Brisbane are unstoppable.
Yeah.
When you remember Brisbane 3 years ago with this weird team where it's like, oh, will they, won't they?
Will they, won't they?
They went from being, as an identity, they went from being a Joe Danaher team to a Will Ashcroft team.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Like, as important as Danaher and Hipwood are, they were also like these goofy forwards that may kick every
Will
game.
They, won't they? Yeah.
Will they, won't they? Whereas now they have these solid troopers.
And then the other headline, I think, always going to be trade talk.
I'm so glad to get away from it for a week.
Yeah. And there are headlines. Tell us what you think are Malakas.
Okay.
Tom goes out to our audience and says, what are your Malakas? And
yeah, and a bunch here that I don't agree with, but I thought I'd bring them anyway, just to hear your comment on. A lot of people are making that judgment that Jezza staying on injured was like poor form, a bad look, and was a mistake. So I wanted to put that out there.
I think he would not have let them. I think it's a grand final, and you've got to go like, if he's saying let me play, I think
you got to let him.
I think.
But it did seem that thing where it's like, I know Jack Martin's not like for like, don't get me wrong, but it's still a forward line. Like, you sub him, and
it does put the doctors in a very difficult position, I guess.
Absolutely.
Where a doctor's saying, I'm trying to help you, and he's saying no, like
F off.
I wonder in that moment if the doctor's saying you can play or you can't play. Or
well, it came out post-match. Josh Dunkley told SEN that he had played with a grade 3 syndesmosis ankle injury, which is like, you can't walk, you need surgery. That's another 3-4 weeker. So
sometimes the AFL intervenes with this stuff as well, where they have their independent doctor who says, no, actually, what are you doing?
Well, with concussions they would, right?
Yeah, but I think for other things as well.
Right.
Well, that was the Petrarca story, wasn't it? Because Collingwood players were telling Christian Petrarca, mate, you're grey, you need to get off the ground, because he'd had what he thought were broken ribs was actually internal injury. So
there you go. But it was a rough day for Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, I was surprised because I'm with you. I was surprised at how much that came through, but I didn't want to silence the people.
I think I could be wrong. I think my initial thought could absolutely be wrong, that like maybe you need to take, like we do with concussions, you need to take the power out of the player's hand and just say, no, you're not allowed to play if your arm is broken.
Well, maybe that's what people are suggesting, and potentially suggesting that it did no good for the team or for him personally.
I mean, more will come out, I guess. But
yeah. Next one is, I mentioned it earlier, but the Irish Nick Dacos. We don't need to bring Nick Dacos into everything.
Ocean Mullen?
Oisin.
Mullen. What a goal, though.
Yeah, the Irish Nick Dacos. I've been saying it all year.
Yeah.
Anyone who wrote off Brisbane, a lot of Brisbane supporters up and about. That's you, Broden. That's you, Paddy. Thank you. I was on them all year.
I was doing something there.
And this is what I mentioned earlier with Ashcroft. The pile-on, not for me personally, but the pile-on and Bailey Smith in our Malakas. Like, I think that's what happens when you're so good and you're a figurehead. The pile-on is massive for Bailey Smith, deserved or not. Everyone is saying, Bailey Smith, today you were a Malaka, mouthing off at Harris Andrews in the fourth.
No, I feel myself backing in Bailey Smith, as I said here. I thought he played the same game he's played all year. I thought some of the things he did were just incredible. He's the whipping boy for the AFL now because he talks a lot. When he spoke to that photographer, that was just completely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. I just hope he's okay as well. Like I'm sure he's pretty gutted right now, and he is the face of Geelong, and there's a lot of that stuff. But I wish him the best, and I hope he doesn't abuse anyone anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people didn't like Brisbane celebrating too early, Broden. The 5 minute, which I have no issue with. Like the game was over.
No, you got to do that.
The game was over. I have no issue with Ashcroft showing the crowd the ball. And
I like that.
I loved it.
Do you know what I loved? I think it was Dempsey's third goal. He kicks a goal, and the camera cuts to Dane Zorko, who is just screaming and bellowing yes as the little goal animation goes across.
Yeah, that was the most Zorko thing ever. Actually, that was
100%.
Celebrating a Geelong goal.
The Suvers were overwhelmingly two things. I'll tell you what they were. Just a lot of individual Brisbane players. A lot of people saying Charlie Cameron or Neale or that was like the overwhelming amount. But then the other thing that people are stoked with, every single Brisbane player shook hands with the Oz kicker. Every single one. They got it right, apparently.
That's clearly a mandate now, isn't it?
Yeah. So everyone was happy with that because a lot of people take that more seriously than the game.
Yeah, good shout. Well, that's like some good Malakas. It was a wonderful grand final. What do you give it out of 10?
I give it a 10. I want Brisbane to be the villain, but I'm sorry, Geelong, you were the villain in my eyes today. A good conquered evil. Hopefully I can hate Brisbane next year because I can't have them being a dynasty.
9 out of 10 for me.
What could have made it better? Not a blowout.
Not a blowout, but I thought it was just. I think until there was like a minute or two left, I was gripped the whole way.
Yeah,
like more than any movie has ever gripped me. Maybe Inception the first time I watched it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sport is so real. I felt sick before it in a way that I never could for a movie or a game magical. Or whatever.
Magical,
crazy.
Well, that's the men's season done. Can't wait for you to join us from Wednesday for. Well, it's like 9 more weeks of the AFLW, so we're still around for a long time. Thanks so much for joining us. See you Wednesday. Bounce that pill.
This is a Grouse House podcast.